everyone, this is John Keeble from Warbringer, and you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, you get yet another legend. This guy is one of the greats, has a great album out there called Parabellum with his band Testament, has a great single out there with his other band Metal Allegiance called Black Horizon. He, of course, is the great Alex Skolnick. Alex, how are you, man?
I'm good, Chris. Thank you for the fine introduction. And there's actually more than that. I have an instrumental album with the Alex Skolnick Trio.
Okay.
That came out recently. And I also have a film score for a movie called Traction Park Massacre that is showing in festivals right now. So,
do you sleep at all, or do you just keep recording all the time?
When I can. I catch up on sleep when I can.
I hear you, man. Well, Alex, let's get it. Let's start with Metal Allegiance because that's kind of what we're here to talk about.
Sure.
Tell me about Black Horizon, or even before we talk about Black Horizon, just tell me about where Metal Allegiance is today. It seems like sometimes you guys are really active, and then you go away for a while, and then you come back active again. Where are we at with Metal Allegiance?
Well, once the group got together, I think reality struck within a few years that several of us have very overwhelming schedules. I would be one of those.
Sure.
And it was very hard to operate like a normal band with a release following an album cycle. So instead, what we do is these occasional events. Annually, there's the NAMM show, which takes place in Anaheim. And we do a House of Blues concert that's the same week of NAMM. That always works out well because everybody's in town.
Sure.
And we can do it as a big production with a lot of special guests and a stacked lineup. We've done occasional small tributes, like we did a Black Sabbath tribute where there were just four of us. We did a Van Halen tribute. We did a Deep Purple anniversary tribute. I mean, this was a while ago now.
Sure.
But it's gotten to the point where mostly it's just the annual Anaheim show and an occasional other show. Mm-hmm. But maybe that will change. Who knows?
Sure. But so then where does the creative drive come from to keep recording and writing new music as a collaborative that does not get together very often?
Well, it's exciting for us, and I think it comes without the limitations that our normal bands might have.
Okay.
Any of us that are part of established bands, we have these album cycles, and in between, it's fun to do something else. And also, have it be a different lineup and, writing for a different voice, that's certainly the case with the new track, Black Horizon. Here's a song with a voice from a band that is more associated with 90s alternative metal, grunge, whatever you want to call it. I think it's just metal, but those are that band, Alice in Chains, and my band, Testament. These are not bands that you normally associate together.
Sure.
We've maybe crossed paths on festivals occasionally in Europe over the years. But other than that, it's considered very different scenes. So it's a great opportunity to take somebody from each of these scenes and put us together and come up with something totally unique.
Sure. Does when you guys are doing that, and specifically with Black Horizon, did somebody know William Duvall, or was it more a case that somebody in the band or all of the band heard the song and then were like, whose voice would fit this? William Duvall.
Yeah, well, that was definitely the case. I can't speak for Mark Mengi, but Mark is the founder of Metal Allegiance.
Sure.
And also contributing songwriter, and does the bass parts that are sort of more in the Geezer Butler, Cliff Burton school.
Sure.
And Mark's also involved in a project called King Ultra Mega, which is a tribute to Chris Cornell. That is a charitable project. They've done several songs. I think it's eventually going to be a full-length album, but it's still in the works. But it's these arrangements of Soundgarden songs. It has the blessing of the Soundgarden people and the Cornell estate. So it's a really cool project. And one of the singers on one of those songs is, and I don't think it's come out yet, is William Duvall.
Okay.
So Mark was working with him on this Soundgarden tribute and singing, and was in the process spoke to him about this song that we had for Metal Allegiance that needed a voice. And it was one of those tunes that just never found the right voice.
Okay.
And I believe what Mark was saying at our concert recently, backstage, chatting to William, he actually heard an Alice tune on the radio. I think it was Last of My Kind, one of the ones with William, and the light bulb went off.
Okay.
That could be the right voice for this song.
Right on. Well, it definitely fits. I mean, but it's
no question.
But it's
he also took it places we couldn't have imagined it. You know,
sure. Did the music change?
It defines the song now.
Sure. Did the music change when he came in? Did any of it change any?
Not really. No.
Okay.
No, I think we just I don't remember us changing any of it.
Okay.
He just sort of made his mark on what was there, and it sounds like we all came up with it together in the same room. Somehow.
Right, definitely.
There's very few vocalists who can do that.
Right.
Phil and Selmo is another one who's like that. You know, he just will take a song and just lock himself in a room, and he'll come out with something totally his and unique that you wouldn't have thought of. And that was the case with Dying Song on the first Metal Allegiance album. But we really haven't had any situation like that. Most of the songs are co-written, or one of us will come up with a vocal pattern or some kind of rough guide vocal for the singers, which is fine. I mean, I often do that even with Testament parts. I will suggest vocals, and even sing rough vocals on. There's a couple recent Testament songs, Symptoms and Code of Hammurabi, where I'm actually doing horrible metal vocals. Don't ever hire me as a metal singer, but it's enough to give a guide, and then the singer can kind of do their own thing. But in the case of William Duvall, that was not there at all. It was just a blank page, and he just took it and ran with it. And we're so thrilled with what he did.
Absolutely. I'm curious, building off of that, but changing it to you specifically. You're involved in so many projects, so many different kinds of projects. I mean, it's not the most of any musician I know, but everything you do is so different from everything else. How do you, as a creative person, manage all of that without it all getting mishmashed together?
Well, a lot of what I do, as you mentioned, it's so different. It doesn't really have the danger of overlap, because it's different sounds, it's different personnel. I never forget which project I'm playing for.
Right.
And in the case of instrumental music, and when I have a different setup than I do with the metal stuff, and I'm usually playing through a smaller rig. There's a lot more dynamic control. Like the more recent instrumental shows I did, I played for the Brian Charette Quartet. He's an organist. real jazz organist. Although he also plays in a project with Danny Carey, so there is a little bit of metal overlap.
Okay.
But that was a project with this amazing rhythm section, Tim Lefebvre and Gary Novak. Who were like top guys in the sort of jazz rock improvisation world. And then a few days before that, Stuart Ham.
Oh wow!
And for both of those gigs, I had a small combo amp and board with lots of pedals. I also play in a project with fretless pioneer Percy Jones, and that's called Pact. And that I have even doubled the amount of pedals because it's very experimental and kind of goes into John Zorn territory. And then my trio, it's more of a clean guitar foundation. It's more chord melodies, so I do a lot of that on semi-hollow body guitar. And then when I do the metal stuff, whether it's Testament or Metal Allegiance, I'm playing through a large amplifier, 2 giant cabinets, enough to power an arena, even if it's a small theater. And it's a totally different type of sound. That sound wouldn't work for the other projects and vice versa.
Sure.
Hey, you. Why are you watching this with commercials? Go commercial-free and unlock exclusive content. Become a VIP today on Locals, Substack, or Rumble Premium. Stop waiting.
Is there ever any of the music that you do that you as such a creative force, more or less, I'm not saying that just to kiss your ass, but I mean, you really are a creative guitar player. Is there any of it that you end up playing that you're just kind of, I don't want to say going through the motions, but I'll just use my exact example, which I'm not saying you're saying, I'm saying. I imagine you not being creatively stimulated when you do TSO type stuff, because it's, there's a sameness to it. I don't think it challenges you musically, like as a player.
Yeah.
How do you process that and keep it exciting for you?
It's so funny you should say that, because I was actually trying to think of a diplomatic way to bring that up.
Sure.
Well, it has been 15 years since I last played with TSO. So I've now been away from it longer than I was in it. And I was in it for a short time of the year, around the holidays.
Sure.
But enough to make a mark. And I still hear from people that got to know me from that. The experience was incredible. So in a situation like that, you think, okay, what are you getting out of this? You're getting the experience of being on an arena stage,
right,
every day, sometimes twice a day, and playing in a more controlled environment. Now, eventually, that starts to be a little bit of a problem, especially if you're a very creative person.
Sure.
And, you just feel like, okay, this is a very controlled, micromanaged show that I'm not the decision maker. I am the my role is basically like a cast member, playing guitar. But you think about what you're getting out of it, and also the audience just has such a great time at those shows. I made great friends. I'm still friends with the people I worked with. Valuable. Some of them I worked with outside of TSO, and so it just led to valuable relationships, a great experience with this audience, the experience of playing on an arena stage every night, the acoustic song where everybody would leave the stage except for me and the singer, and just carrying the whole arena with an acoustic guitar. I mean, that's great experience. At a certain point, I realized, okay, the time of the year this is taking, and the energy it takes during that, because there is an exclusivity to it. You cannot do other things. You cannot sub out
Right.
your role while you're on that tour.
Sure.
That got to be a problem. Like as things started to develop, and my instrumental side came together, and Testament got resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized it was difficult. It was a time to move on, but I'd also done it enough. I'd gotten so much out of it, and at that point I could leave feeling good about it. But you're right. Yeah, it's certainly there were moments where it's too repetitive, and it's too much the same. I have friends that play on Broadway. I know a lot of musicians that are close friends that do Broadway. I've actually gone to some of these shows. I've sat in the pit with them just to see what it's like, and I've even had invitations to, here's the music, check it out. See if you'd be interested. And it's just not something for me.
Right.
At one time, I think I liked the idea of it, because you think, okay, musicians that play on Broadway, well, they're obviously great musicians. They have these skills, so it's sort of this mark of excellence. Mm-hmm. But I also realized, okay, there's other ways of getting that. That's just not for me.
Sure.
Because a lot of the people who do that becomes what they do. Mm-hmm. That becomes their thing. And that's kind of the case with shows like TSO. Not always. There are exceptions. Sure. But a lot of them, that becomes their main thing, and it just takes away. So much energy goes into that, and you might not have energy left over for other projects. Now there are exceptions, of course, and I'm good. Actually, friends with the guy who took over for me, Joel Hoekstra. Sure, who's a great guitarist. Absolutely. And I don't know how he does what he does. He'll do that tour. He'll jump on another tour, and does his own thing. So good for him. I know after those tours, I was a wreck, right? And I just didn't have the energy to do the things I wanted to do. So a lot of what's opened up for me, happened after I let that go, and that's just started a new chapter.
Right on. One last question about that, and we'll move on. Sure. Do you ever have that same feeling where you're, and again, I don't want to say bored because that's not the right word, but do you have that sort of vibe sometimes with some of the Testament music? I'm sure you could play Into the Pit with your eyes closed, of half asleep. Is that still exciting for you, or is that one of the reasons that the band keeps creating new music, is so that you can keep finding new ways to challenge yourself, and Eric as well, and Chuck, the whole band? But do you have that feeling with some of the older Testament music?
Not really, honestly. Okay. Sure, Into the Pit is a song that we pretty much can't not play. Right. And I think every band has that. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation once with Dave Mustaine about Peace Sells. Sure. Do you really want to play that song every night? Mm-hmm. And he admitted, he'd like to. I'm sure he'd bring it back to the set, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind giving it a rest. But you can't have that show without Peace Sells. You can't have a Slayer show without Angel of Death. Yeah. Or Rain and Blood. You can't have a Judas Priest show without You've Got Another Thing Coming. Right. That might not be the most exciting song for them. I'm sure they'd rather play their newer stuff, or
right. Who knows? Steven Tyler's been on record forever saying he wishes he didn't have to play Dream On. But can you imagine an Aerosmith show without Dream On? That just couldn't happen.
Exactly. So, some bands are, you're lucky if you're on that level too, where it's just such an iconic song. Sure. But, I think most of us have at least one song that's like that. But as far as the rest, we're actually at a point where there are so many albums to choose and so much music to choose from. It never has to be boring. Right. There always has to be a few familiar ones.
Mm-hmm.
But even with those, we're able to sort of rotate them around, and they offer relief in the set too. Because if we do a few songs off either the latest album or one of the last several most recent ones, those can be a challenge because we don't have the 10 plus years of experience playing those songs. So those will, keep us on our toes
Sure.
for a moment during the set, but then we can go back to one that we have played
Right.
a million times or whatever, and it's just, it's a relief. And I don't think it's that point, and also the concerts are so exciting, it's hard to get bored.
Sure.
And even the slow song, we've been doing more of the slower songs.
Mm-hmm.
Return to Serenity we started playing that again, and it just kills every night.
Sure.
But also we did Trail of Tears recently. That went great. The Legacy does really well. We have this new slow song, Meant to Be. So even the slow songs are pretty exciting.
Right.
So it's different than, a show where, with I don't want to harp on TSO, but that's a show everybody's seated,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually has to be the same every night.
Sure.
It's very choreographed, and so that's a different scenario.
Right
but
on.
even if you play the same song night after night in a show like Testament, you don't know where you'll be on stage.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
You might be over here, you might be over. There's ways of making it more exciting. Although most of the time you don't have to, because it's just exciting enough.
Right on. Well, let's talk, since we're talking Testament, let's talk Parabellum, the fantastic record that you guys put out. For most reviews that I saw at the end of the year, it was right up there, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the top 5, which is amazing for a band that's been there this long. To me, it's amazing that you guys still have maybe even more fire than the classic days. The albums are so heavy and so
100%.
so crisp. What is it that gives you guys that? Is it just that energy comes together when you get together, or do you guys got to push yourselves? Is there somebody in the band pushing the rest of the band to reach that level?
No, I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
I think one is, we have a lineup now where everybody's got pretty high standards for recording. Nobody believes in phoning it in, so to speak. And it's a functional lineup.
Right.
I don't want to speak ill of anybody who was in the band in the past, but it's very functional. Like, everybody's gets along well. There's a maturity. At least for 3 of us, we've got projects outside of the band.
Right.
So I think that helps. I think we know what the real world is.
Okay.
So, so that helps balance things out. And I'm not sure if this is it, but maybe because in the first wave of the band, there's certain levels we just never unlocked.
Okay.
Yes, we got to support some much bigger groups. We even got to do arena tours. We never got to that level ourselves.
Sure.
We were not the headliners. And even some of the groups we played with, like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, these were like pinnacles. They were going through hard times at that time. Both of them actually changed singers within a year or so of that time period. And, just going into the 90s, it was a really strange time. So I think, there were there was a small batch of bands that, was able to have albums go gold or platinum within a reasonable amount of time. So they had the plaques, and they had, they were reaching a certain level of playing in front of large audiences and a certain amount of industry acceptance that we didn't get.
Right.
And I'm not saying it was unfair or anything. We were young and trying to figure things out, and we didn't have somebody in the band like a Lars or a Dave Grohl or a Sammy Hagar that just guys like that just seem like they'd be good whatever they did.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're really good industry managers as well as musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just confused. We had management that we broke up with. We had crew that we broke up. In some cases, we hung on to for too long that we should have let go sooner. So we learned a lot of lessons, I think. And then the classic lineup fell apart. And then when it got back together in the 2000s, I think by then, a lot of lessons had been learned. Some lessons still needed to be learned. But we're at a point in recent years, certainly like the last 10 to 15 years, where, a lot of those things have been learned, and there's still the hunger to reach these levels. Because, we certainly never got comfortable either.
Right. Sure.
That would be interesting. I mean, in some ways, there's some appeal to that, having to worry less about
money.
Money and your schedule, and just planning. Okay, when do we want to? We don't have to tour. We're just But
that Metallica Friday, Sunday, then we're off a week schedule sounds great.
That sounds just fine to me. And,
right.
More power to them.
Right.
If you have that, but we've never even been close to that.
Sure.
So and we're doing all right. It's we're doing.
Let me
fine,
ask you this,
right?
Alex,
but not not to the point of complacency.
Sure.
It's the album that changed everything. Metallica's Black Album. In Cause and Effect, Metallica, author Chris Akin takes you back to the lead-up, the release, and the shockwaves that followed. Relive the moment that divided fans, reshaped heavy metal, and turned commercial radio on its ear. With insider stories and personal memories from rock critic and radio personality Chris Akin, this book is a backstage pass to one of rock's most iconic moments. Get your copy now at chrisakin.net or on Amazon. Don't miss out on this epic journey through heavy metal history.
Well, let me ask you this to kind of wrap this up. And you probably know this, but if you don't, I'll tell you. In the last, let's say, 15 years, when people talk about the quote-unquote Big Four, there's a lot of talk that Testament should be in there replacing somebody, and it changes from time to time or whatever. And I'm not asking you to say, is that true or not? What I'm asking you is, do you as a member of the band at least appreciate how consistent you guys have been as a band versus bands that have kind of ebbed and flowed that are considered the top of the mountain? I never give it much thought because to me, it's not just the big four, it's the first four. Sure.
Those bands had albums out when Testament was still called Legacy and was still a local band.
Right.
That I used to hear about when I was in high school. And they supported some of those bands. But all of the big four bands had records out at the time of that Legacy was still getting started.
Sure.
And by the time Legacy became Testament and released its first debut album, those bands all had several albums out. So, you can't really make a comparison. They were there. They were so much further along by the time we even got started. So I think it makes more sense to look at okay, the next wave after
Sure.
the so-called big four bands. And it's an honor that people think, most of the time we're one of those names. That's great.
Sure.
I'll take it.
Absolutely. And you got, and I mean, you know this. If you ask people to do the big eight, you're always there. So,
Yeah,
and that's I mean,
and
I'd love to be one of the big eight of anything.
That's just fine with us.
Right.
I mean, I can't speak for anybody else in the band, but I don't know of anybody that has any issue with that.
Right on.
Says, no, we should be in the big four. No,
Sure.
They're the big four.
Right.
All good, but we will proudly take our place in the next wave.
Right on. Well, Alex, obviously, man, you are a busy guy, as we stated. Metal Allegiance, Testament, film scores, Alex Skolnick Trio. Where's the best place we can send people to keep up with you and buy merch? Because obviously that's how you guys make your living, is if they're buying something. Where's the best place to send people online to keep up with you and your projects?
Yeah, I've just had my website overhauled.
Okay.
It's alexskolnick.com. The merch page is not up yet.
Okay.
It will be, and there's lots of merch. But there are links to get stuff from other websites.
Okay.
And you can also follow my socials at Alex Skolnick on Instagram, at Alex Skolnick on Threads and Twitter, Alex Skolnick official fan club on Facebook. There's also an Alex Skolnick Trio Facebook and an Alex Skolnick Trio Instagram.
Right on. Well, one more time, Metal Allegiance, Black Horizon with William Duvall, or Testament Parabellum. You can get them both right now. I suggest you buy them. Don't just stream them. Don't be lame.
Yeah.
Buy something.
Bye.
And Alex, this has been fun, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris.
Yeah,
Akin
thanks,
Presents.
Chris. Thanks for having me.
Get ready. The Classic Metal Show is live every Saturday from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern. It's always uncensored. Watch on CMS TV, Rumble, Odyssey, or X.